you use Google Sheets a lot and you want to start automating your manual tasks, this video is for you. I'm going to show you how you can start setting up powerful automations using Make.com with Google Sheets. Let's get started. Okay, great. So let's first set up a brand new Google Sheet here that's related to a contact list. So let's say let's name, email, phone number, make. Okay, here on Make, when you go to Google Sheets, there are three most important triggers that you can use with Google Sheets, okay? And I'll say that those are the most common ones. Those are the ones that I use the most. So basically there are what changes. So you can set up a webhook to trigger an automation every time something changes on your Google Sheets. Watch new roles. I think this is the most common one. This is the one that I use the most. So the automation will be triggered when there is a new row added to a Google Sheets. The other one that is common is search roles. But first, let's just add a couple of items here. So let's just add a random number. Next 2, add next 3, add 3, a random number. Okay, when you set up, so I'm gonna set up here and select the correct account. So let's start with this trigger here, watch new rows. Okay, then you're gonna select the Google Sheets here. It's a drop down. I think it's in here. Test make. So this is the sheet name. So the sheet name is sheet 1. That's the sheet that we are working on. Table contains headers. Yes. So the first row is the header. Row of headers and limit. Let's start with 1. So we're gonna pass one row at a time. Okay. Now you can select where you want to start. You can choose manually. So let's say that you want to start by triggering all the new rows that are going to be added after the row here, number 4. But for this example, let's select all of them. And what Make's going to do is not just going to trigger for new rows. Make is going to trigger all the rows here, including the ones that are already there. Okay, so you have control over where you want to start by triggering your rows. And if you just run this module, this trigger just ran for one row and for the first one that is not the header of the table, of the sheet. Okay, so you can see name, email, and phone number. If you select, for example, limit 10, you select again all, and you click in run, you're gonna see 3 different bundles, each row inside one bundle, okay? But let's just select one. So once you start running this automation, this whole scenario will be triggered when a new row is added to the sheet, okay? But remember that this is not a webhook, so it's not gonna be instantly. You need to select here when you want to schedule this scenario to check for new rows. Okay, so for example, in this case, this scenario will be checking for new rows every 15 minutes. So that's one way that you can trigger your scenario. The other way that you can trigger is by selecting search rows. This one is helpful if you want to check all the rows of a spreadsheet, if you want to use all the rows that's on a spreadsheet to use on your scenario right here. And you can select conditions. So let's say that you just want to pass the rows that the name equals to X, right? And if you run this module here, you can see that it just retrieved the first row here. This can be a trigger. So let's say that once a day, you want this scenario to be triggered and get you all the rows that contains a certain value, right? And that's really, really helpful in many, many cases. So this is another trigger that I use the most. The other way to trigger the Google Sheets is setting up a webhook. So you can select the watch changes trigger here on Make. You can just give you a name to the webhook. Let's copy the webhook address. Let's go to your sheet. Make sure that you have this extension installed on your Google Sheets account. Go to settings. I need to update. After you click on settings, you will paste the webhook here on this webhook URL, okay? And then you can select the sheet, you can select the range, okay? This is optional, but let's say that you just want this webhook to be triggered when a specific change happens in this sheet here or in this range. So let's say that range A1 to C4, and then you just put the range here, okay? Otherwise, every change will be used to trigger the webhook. You can click on save and your webhook is going to be saved. Now that you have the webhook set up, any changes that you do here will trigger the webhook. Okay, so let's say that, let them go back to make. Let's run this module only. Let's change this to this number here. And you just see it. So this is the webhook event that was triggered. And here you have all the details of the event, right? So as you can see, the spreadsheet name, the sheet name, you can see the old value of the cell, the new value of the cell. You can see like the change happened in the third column, in the third row, okay? And this is the raw values of the row, okay? And this is helpful because then you can, for example, add a filter and to make sure that the changes that you need to be made are only happening for a specific role, or that you are able to get the information for all the role, even if the change happened in just one cell. And of course, once you have the triggers set up, so as I mentioned, those are the three most common ones that you're going to be using when you are integrating Google Sheets with Make. You can also, of course, set up different actions, but I'm sure that just with the triggers, you're going to be able to build very powerful automations with Make and Google Sheets, okay? But if you're looking to specific actions, you can add a new role, you can add a sheet. This is not very common. To that, add a row, it's very common. The other that's very common is the update a row or update a cell. It's another that's very, very common. Get a cell also is very common. But anyways, if you are able to set up those triggers, you're gonna be good to go to start building powerful automations combining Google Sheets and Make. Okay, hope this video was helpful to you to start building your first automations with Google Sheets and Make.com. As always, if you need help setting up these kind of automations and more powerful ones, just click on the link down below so me and my team can understand more about your business, more about your operations, and show you how AI and automation can really help you scale your business. Thank you.